This is the MI6 building. MI6's job is to identify threats to the United Kingdom. In 2025, they identified a man who they believed was a national security risk. But the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, gave him one of the most sensitive jobs in the world anyway. This isn't another story about political sleaze. This is the story of a Prime Minister who was allegedly warned by his own spies, ignored them, and then lied to Parliament to cover it up. The central damning fact of this scandal is this: Keir Starmer deliberately overruled a direct national security warning from Britain's own intelligence services to appoint his political crony and then lied to the House of Commons about it. Now, I do have to stress this is not being confirmed, but this is according to multiple reports. Both The Independent and Sky News have reported on this. MI6 refused to grant Peter Mandelson security clearance for the post of US ambassador. The reasons weren't trivial. They were twofold. First, his business links to China were considered an unacceptable risk of foreign influence. And second, his deep relationship with the convicted child abuser Jeffrey Epstein was flagged as a textbook counterintelligence nightmare, creating a permanent risk of blackmail. So let's be crystal clear about what this means. It's not a policy disagreement. This is the nation's spies, the experts whose sole job is to protect us, telling the Prime Minister that a person is a security danger. A Whitehall source claims that the China links made him an unacceptable risk. An intelligence source called the Epstein connection a non-starter from a security standpoint. For a Prime Minister to hear that and proceed anyway is the political equivalent of a pilot being warned of a mountain ahead and deciding to fly straight at it and hope for the best. The catastrophic conclusion is that Keir Starmer knowingly placed a compromised individual at the heart of our most important intelligence alliance. But it gets worse. On September the 10th, 2025, he stood up in Parliament and told the nation, full due process was gone through. If the reports are correct, that is a calculated, deliberate lie to the House of Commons, a resigning offence. The government's defenders will point to the official Downing Street statement, which said the claims were untrue and that Number 10 was not involved in the security vetting process. This is classic politicians' non-denial. It's a carefully constructed lie. The claim isn't that Number 10 filled out the paperwork. The claim is that the Prime Minister was informed of MI6's decision and chose to overrule it. The statement deliberately avoids the charge. As Priti Patel, a former Home Secretary, said, it shows a blatant disregard of all national security considerations. They are hiding behind weasel words. A Prime Minister who ignores his spies and lies to Parliament is a danger to the country. So who is this man, Peter Mandelson, that Starmer was willing to risk everything for? Well, this disaster was entirely foreseeable. Keir Starmer didn't appoint a distinguished statesman. He appointed a known liability with a decades-long record of sleaze and a sickening, unrepentant loyalty to a convicted child abuser. We have the evidence in his own words. After Jeffrey Epstein was convicted in 2008, Peter Mandelson didn't cut ties. He did the exact opposite. On the very eve of Epstein's reporting to jail, Mandelson emailed him. I think the world of you and I feel hopeless and furious about what has happened, he told him. Your friends stay with you and love you, and urged him to fight for early release. He even gave the child abuser strategic advice, telling him to remember the art of war to help him fight the charges. This isn't a mistake. It's a statement of character. This is a man whose moral compass is so broken that his first instinct is to comfort and advise a convicted sex offender. And this was just the latest chapter in a career of scandal. He was sacked from Tony Blair's cabinet not once but twice. First for a secret loan from a man his own department was investigating, and then for allegedly helping a billionaire donor get a passport. As The Spectator noted, he is the only politician in modern history forced from office for 3 separate scandals across 4 different decades. Starmer knew all of this. It was all public record. Appointing Peter Mandelson wasn't a lapse in judgment, it was a declaration that judgment, integrity and character mean nothing to this government. Now, apologists will say that Lord Mandelson has since expressed his deep regret for the association with Epstein. His regret is a recent invention, produced only after he was caught. His private emails show his true feelings. And when he was finally sacked, did he apologise? No. He released an arrogant statement blaming his downfall on a relentless and targeted campaign. This isn't remorse, it's the whining of a man who believes he is above accountability. Appointing a man this morally and politically compromised and ignoring MI6 to do it is an act of political insanity. Which begs the question, who is actually pulling the strings? This scandal didn't just happen. It was engineered by Keir Starmer's immensely powerful, unelected Chief of Staff Morgan McSweeney. It reveals that this government is run by the same old, arrogant, new Labour machine that puts loyalty to the club above the good of the country. Multiple media reports name McSweeney as the driving force behind the appointment. The Telegraph reported he pushed hard for Mandelson, his close ally, in the face of obvious concerns. When the scandal blew up, McSweeney was reportedly the final holdout in Number 10, fighting to keep Mandelson in his job. A source told Politico that while everyone else saw disaster, McSweeney's instinct was, no, we need to defend him. This exposes the real power structure. Key decisions aren't being made in the national interest. They're being made to reward members of an exclusive political clique. This is the very definition of the establishment blob that people despise. Nigel Farage put it, this is what the establishment looks like. A cosy club of mates looking after each other. This proves that Starmer's promise of a new Labour was a fraud. It's the ghost of the Blair years rebooted with the same faces, the same arrogance, and the same belief that the rules don't apply to them. Now, the official line was that Mandelson was appointed for his vast political and diplomatic experience. His vast experience is a 3-decade track record of getting sacked for sleaze and cozying up to corrupt billionaires and child abusers. In the real world, that's not a CV, it's a rap sheet. That experience is precisely why MI6 reportedly rejected him. To call it a qualification is an insult to our intelligence. An unelected strategist pushing a corrupt crony past our own security services. But the ultimate responsibility lies with one man, and his failure is absolute. The entire chaotic, humiliating affair exposes Keir Starmer as a weak, clueless, and fundamentally hypocritical leader who is unfit to be Prime Minister. The timeline is the story. On Wednesday afternoon, at Prime Minister's Questions, Keir Starmer declared, "I have confidence in him." By Thursday evening, less than 24 hours after the media published the damning emails, Mandelson was sacked. This is the opposite of strong leadership. This is panicked weakness. A strong leader would have seen the obvious risks and never made the appointment. Starmer, the former director of public prosecutions, the man who built his brand on being forensic and sensible, walked blindly into a catastrophe. He wasn't in command of events, he was a victim of them, forced into a humiliating U-turn by the press. His entire political project, his promise to restore integrity and competence after the Tories, now lies in tatters. He's been exposed. As Priti Patel said, this affair proves he is a weak, clueless, and fundamentally unfit to be trusted with the safety of our country. Now, Labour loyalists will claim that by sacking Mandelson, Starmer showed he was decisive. He wasn't decisive, he was cornered. A decisive leader would never have appointed a twice-sacked Epstein crony against the advice of MI6 in the first place. This wasn't a show of strength. It was a panicked clean-up of his own catastrophic mess, and it only happened when the media gave him absolutely no other choice. The man who sold himself as Mr. Rules has been unmasked as just another reckless, self-serving politician. The mask has slipped, and it is not coming back. Let's put the pieces together. A Prime Minister who ignores his own spies. A morally bankrupt crony with a history of sleaze and loyalty to a convicted child abuser. An unelected backroom fixer pulling the strings, and a lie told to the mother of all parliaments. This isn't just about one bad appointment. It's the complete demolition of the central promise Keir Starmer made to the British people. He promised integrity and delivered sleaze. He promised competence and fed us chaos. He promised to be the adult in the room, and he has been exposed as a weak, clueless leader who cannot be trusted with the security of our nation.